Hello again. So last time I showed you how to figure out your shadows by putting them in perspective so you can actually figure out the length of them. And we did this using sunlight because the sun is so far away. We have to put our sun essentially on the horizon line or in line with our horizon line to figure out where it is. Now I want to show you guys how to figure out your shadows in perspective, but when we're dealing with artificial light. And as I said, the difference is artificial light is closer. The sun is so far away, it's all the way back on our horizon. But when we're dealing with artificial light isn't strong enough to be that far away. It's gonna be somewhere within our area. So it's gonna be all the same steps. The only difference is where we're gonna be placing our light. So the first thing we're going to start off with is actually our shadow vanishing point. And this is going to be the point on the ground of where our light is. So the light will be right above it. So if I put my shadow vanishing point right here, actually let's put it a little bit lower. I'm going to put it right here. This will be our shadow vanishing point. This means that our light is in the middle of our room, right here, and it's going to be somewhere above it. Okay, imagine this is a lamp, and we could put this anywhere. We could have it off to the side, put it down here. If we want it kind of far away and like maybe the corner of the room, we could put it back here. This is all about the spot in space where your lamp is standing, essentially. So from there, you figure out your light source. So we're gonna draw a line straight up, just like we would before, to find our light source. So this would be our light bulb. And because it is so close to us, we're really going to start to see the distortion in the shadows. The shadows will be more at an angle than they were before. They won't look as parallel. They're going to be a lot more angular. Because our lamp, I mean, you can picture this as a lamp, Here's our lamp shade. And then here's the bottom of the lamp. This is essentially what you're drawing here, is your lamp standing in your room. So this is our light here. This is our shadow vanishing point. So this is our light source. Next step, just like before, let's figure out our direction of light. And I already set up 3 boxes here for us so we can go through these and so you can actually see how it works. And they're in 3 different positions. I got one right in front of us, that's basically on the other side of the lamp. I got one next to the lamp and then one behind the lamp. So 3 different situations so you can see how this works. So find our direction of light. What do? We make converging lines that come out from our shadow vanishing point to our bottom corners. Now, if you remember, I said you do this for the corners that are farthest away from the light. And I did these drawings in 1-point perspective, so that means these 2 corners are close to the light and they're not going to be casting a shadow. It's only these back corners that are going to be casting a shadow, so that's all I need to do right now is just do these 2 here. So this is our direction of light. Then to figure out angle of light, just like before, we make converging lines coming from our light source down through the top corners. So you remember direction of light? This is how you figure out, let's move this up. Direction of light, this is how you figure out the shape of your shadow. So you can see it's coming out at that angle here because of our light. And then light source will help us figure out the length of our shadow. And that has to do with how high the light is and how high our object is. So all we need to do is connect a line from our light source to the top corner to where it intersects on the ground. And then same thing with the other side. Light source to corner to, oops, that was a little bit off there, to ground. There we go. That's a little bit better. And then I'm just gonna fix this. Because I was slightly off, I know this is a little bit wrong, so I'm gonna go back. There we go. It'll be back a little bit more. Because I know this object is directly parallel with the light, I know that these lines this is going to be parallel with the object. So this is what the shadow looks like, going from these corners here to this back end. So this was our angle of light coming down from the top corners. direction of light coming down from the bottom corners. And we have our shadow. Yay. Okay, so let's figure out this box here that's right next to our light. So we're going to be doing our lines from our shadow vanishing point through the corners. I mean, this is basically parallel, lined up with here. So we're just going to go through to that back corner. Now we need to figure out where this back corner is here, because we're going to need to make a line going through to here. It might not be a big deal. I'm not sure if we're even going to see this back edge of the shadow, but we still need to figure it out. Oops, hit my finger there. We still need to figure this out so we know where that back edge is and we can figure out what angle this is. So we know, and actually, since we're doing this, the light is closer to this corner here, so technically this corner would also be making a shadow. So we're going to draw it out here anyway, and then we can figure out where that shadow is going to be. Okay, so then this was our direction of light. Then we need to figure out our angle of light. To do that, we go from our light source to our top corners to where it intersects on the ground. Okay, and then we'll do this one, and as I suspected, you're not really gonna see this, which means we're definitely not gonna see this, but I wanna draw it on anyway so you can see where it would be. So this would be that back corner. So if we were to draw our shadow, our whole shadow, if we had our x-ray goggles on, we could see where that shadow was. This would be the shape of it. But we don't, so all we're gonna see is essentially this side here. Kind of draw this in just to help you see. Okay. So then our last one. So we know that this is behind our light, so the shadow is going to be going back this way. So we do the same thing from our shadow vanishing point. And let's figure out where this back side is. So back side's there. So this does take knowledge of, knowing what your object looks like in 3 dimensions. And then there. Okay, so we got our direction of light. Now we figure out our angle of light. So direction is, the shape of our shadow. And angle has to do with how long it is. So we'll go from here to here. And once again, I'm pretty sure we're only going to see this one side, but we at least need to know where this dot is so we can figure out the angle of the shadow. And then same thing. This is the really unnecessary one, but we're doing it anyway, so that's where this one would be. So our shadow would look like this, but we are just going to see this part here. Connect that so you can kind of see. So yeah, so this is what our shadow would look like. And that's all it is. You can see I didn't even need to draw this whole line here. By this point I was just connecting, once I lined up my ruler, I just connected from here to here. But you could still draw all the way through if that made you feel better. But that's all there is to it. It's essentially the same thing. The only difference is the placement of our shadow vanishing point. Because the light is so much closer, it's going to be within our space that we are in right now. It's not going to be all the way on the horizon line like the sun is, because the sun is so far away. And this is all there is to it. And so we could put this dot anywhere depending on where we want our light to be in the room. And all you have to do is think about it as like a floor lamp. And that will kind of help you visualize what this should be like. You got your light source up here, and the foot of the lamp is where it stands in this space. Okay, and that's all there is to figuring out shadows in perspective. Once again, you should understand this, so I would draw a similar thing like this and figure out what the shadows would look like. Maybe put boxes in different places and try to see how that would work.